Today, I want to talk about boundaries. One of my main goals in making these videos is to help heal the world, and that can only happen from the inside out. We have to do things on the outside, but truly, we can only heal the world by healing ourselves. That's the only way. Like, wholeness can only happen outside of ourselves once it's happened on the inside. Whatever is inside of us comes out, and that's what the world is made of. And I have discovered that boundaries are magic. I made a video about humility being my favorite thing. Boundaries are pretty damn awesome. They are, the more boundaries you have, like the more real boundaries you have, the bigger your life can be. Like the more you can have in your life if you have strong boundaries. So I want to talk about what that means, what that looks like. And this is all related to self-love, because ultimately, in order to heal the world, love is the only thing that will heal. We have to go directly to the source, to God, who is love, and learn from that how to heal, how to be whole, how to love, how to live, and how to bring goodness and truth and beauty into the world. And boundaries. So this is also related. I see so many so many issues in our world, and I don't get wrapped up in issues. It's not part of my life. But one of the biggest things is, in our world, there's a crisis of people not feeling safe. Like, people are so triggerable. There's all this stuff about gun control and yada, 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 yada. I mean, there's just, you could go on, like, people do go on for hours and days and weeks and months, consumed with all these issues. Ultimately, safety starts here and here. This is the only place it can be. When you have people who are fully whole and are in charge of their own thoughts and emotions, and are living from a place of knowing they're enough and being full and satisfied in who they are, that's what makes the world safe. People who are nourished enough to know how to have self-control, to be responsible for themselves, are the kind of people who make the choices that make this world a safe place. So that's why I'm making this video. The most important boundaries aren't the ones we make with other people. They're the ones we make with ourselves, inside of ourselves. When we decide to listen to who we are and to put up a boundary against any thought, any emotion, any action, anything that would reduce or detract from who we actually are. So this starts by how you have to listen. You have to listen to yourself first and listen to who you really are and what you really want. And from there, you can create boundaries that are in line with what you believe and what is actually true for you, like deep within you, not surface level desires, not that, but like what you actually want in life, like what your soul wants, what you actually want, which is far bigger and far more terrifying to most people. Like, most people don't do that because it's kind of scary to like actually do what you want to do in this life in a big way. But that also comes down in a practical way. The practical ways that we do this too are, this is very much related to my first video on self-love. If you haven't watched that, I highly recommend going back and watching that before you finish watching this. That concept of your higher self and the ego having input coming in. This is one area where you choose a belief and then you only accept from other people in the world around you, the media, your own brain, and the thoughts that come out of your subconscious and just, from your past or whatever comes up from your ego to your higher self. You only allow in the ones that are in line with the choices that you've made. So, for example, I believe my worth is founded in God alone. Like, I am inherently lovable and inherently enough because God only makes sense. I believe that. And from there, my validation doesn't come from how I'm behaving even. Like, if I had a rough day and I screwed up, I can forgive myself and move on because I know my value doesn't come from my actions. It doesn't come from whether or not, like, my spouse is stressed out and acting kind of, snarky today because he's stressed out. That doesn't have no impact on me because I know I've put up a wall there and realized that's not a reflection of me. Even if he were mad at me, like, even if someone snaps at you, or if someone would, if my husband were to snap at me because he's stressed out, I wouldn't receive that anymore because I spent a lot of time separating that and realizing, like, other people's remarks are usually coming from their own stuff, their own stress. It usually doesn't have anything to do with me. But it took really attaching myself firmly to this belief that my values only inherent in God. And when I lived from there and acted on that long enough, eventually I got enough clarity to see, hey, people, when they are not less than nice to me, usually it has nothing to do with me. It's not even about me, it's about them. And from that place, there is so much freedom, because you realize you can choose any belief and then only take in the information that supports it, and just discard everything else. Then you have a stable foundation within yourself. And then you get to decide what triggers you. And you get to decide, like, if you see something disturbing, I'm not going to look at that, because I love myself too much. I don't need to take in disturbing information. It doesn't serve anyone. For me to be upset about something I can't do anything about does not serve anyone. I'm not going to do it. So if there's disturbing news or disturbing stories, I just don't look. Because my knowing that doesn't benefit anyone. All it does is make my brain a less safe place for me and make me a less stable human being, which clearly makes the world a less safe place, not more. So that's one of the biggest ways we put up a boundaries within ourselves, to choose what thoughts we tell ourselves, what things we tell ourselves, what things we choose to believe, and to have a really firm boundary of, I choose to believe this about myself, I choose to believe this about the world, whatever our beliefs are. But if we choose beliefs that are positive and really true, like, I really believe these things are the truth, and then you only accept that information, you become a beacon of light for other people, and you become a safe place for other people, for yourself first, and then for other people. And in that too, there's so much freedom, because you can go through your day and it doesn't really matter what comes at you. If someone says something to you, you know, people, you get emails, you get text messages, you get comments from coworkers or children or spouses or parents or siblings or what have you. But if you know who you are, and you know what your purpose is, and you know what you're doing, what you believe about yourself, everything gets filtered through your beliefs and your boundaries. And so you don't take in any, like, everything that you either, if it's not relevant, just bounces right off. And you keep going with your day. And you get to keep your power. You get to keep your power and use that energy to actually do something productive in life, to love your family, to do your job, to pour your passion into what you're doing. And that's what's going to create a good world, is people who have the ability to block out, to put blinders on and stay focused on what they're doing and on what their purpose is. Then you can do something good in this world. The only thing that's going to really change the world is goodness. Like, no amount of, I think people, this is honestly common sense. I mean, anyone given 30 seconds to actually tap into their higher self would know this. The only thing that's going to do good in the world is good. I mean, there's no amount of yeah, that's it. Staying focused on what is actually constructive is the only way to heal the world, to take care of all the starving children, and all of the problems there are in the world can only come from people who are a fortress within themselves and are focused on doing good in their corner of the world. That's what's going to change the world ultimately. And I can't even describe to you, like, I don't know, honestly. Again, I'm not inside other people's heads. But coming from my own background, and I just know there's a lot of people in the world who aren't a safe place for themselves. And that's where this is where self-love comes first, because we have to be a safe place for ourselves before we can be a safe place for anyone else. So it all starts by focusing on being able to have the boundaries and choose the beliefs and the thoughts and the actions and the emotions that line up with who we really are and what we really care about, and choose to care about our own well-being first, so that we have something to offer our children, our spouses, everyone we meet in a day. We can give something if we have protected our own resources. But if we haven't protected and we let people leech our own energy from us, we will have nothing to offer them. And that doesn't serve anyone. That's why, for me, like, that's again another reason why, in my opinion, self-love is the foundation. True self-love, putting up those boundaries, protecting your own resources, seeking things like moments of prayer, moments of solitude, moments of time with people you love, or time in nature, or exercise, or reading a book you love, or listening to music you love, or whatever it is that nourishes you and gives you that internal strength and that solitude to go out, and then you protect that like your life depends on it, because it does. Your life depends on you having enough on the inside. Your ability to do good in this world depends entirely on how grounded you are within yourself. And from that place, we can offer something to the world. And this is just something, I know this concept exists, but it is so underutilized. Like, there is so much potency and so much power in having boundaries and having zero guilt and saying no to things you don't want to do, because it doesn't do anyone any good. And it never will. Doing things you don't want to do because someone else asked you to, and it, like going to, social functions, or just doing silly little things that, again, that have no real impact on the world. If that detracts from your inner resources and what you have to offer the people in your life in a practical way, it's not worth it. Whether that's a thought, whether that's an event, whether that's going on social media or not, whether that's turning your phone on airplane mode or not for a while, give yourself a break. It doesn't, like, those are the core value of valuing your own well-being and your own peace and solitude more than anything else is ultimately what's going to give you the most power to do good in this world. And that's where boundaries come in, and they are just incredible. The other thing too is, like, people are so afraid of the comments of others. Others, what does this person think about? What is this person going to say to me? And both in a power way, but also in, like, the seductive kind of way. Like, people are afraid of the comments other people might make about them derogatorily. But then there's also, like, people will comment and say, well, this person doesn't trust themselves with another person because that person's so powerful and attractive. If you know yourself and you have boundaries up, you don't have to be afraid of anyone for any reason. Literally. If you know what you're here to do, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what anyone says to you because you can block it out. It doesn't matter how attractive or powerful someone is because you know you'll have the ability to say no. The no exists within you. And then you're a safe place. You're a safe place to be for other people, and you're a safe place for yourself because you know that you've owned your power, you've made it your own, and you're going to use it for good. And once you do that, you have freedom to do whatever you want in this life, to talk to whoever you want, to collaborate with whoever you want, to build amazing friendships with people because you're not afraid of your own power anymore. Because you know you've owned it and you know you're using it for good. There is no other thing that can bring a fulfilled life or as much joy as that. I highly recommend boundaries. It is, I think I've said enough. They're just fantastic. They're truly fantastic. So this is my sales pitch for boundaries, because I believe that boundaries are the key to freedom, the key to peace, and the key ultimately to healing the world, because safety starts inside of us with our choice to make ourselves, to be a safe place to ourselves, and then to allow ourselves to be a fortress and an island and a place of solitude and rest for other people. Starting with just the people around us in our lives, and then perhaps for others. But all of it begins with the choice to make your own peace your top priority. So that's my invitation to you today. And again, questions, comments, all good stuff. Have at it, please.